In hip hop, there's been a conversation for about a week or and a half. An artist out of New Orleans by the name of Dee-1.
Okay.
So I'll refresh people, the younger generation that might see this, or if you see this on TikTok. Dee-1 is a musician that was dropping music, I want to say around 2008. So he's been out, because I keep hearing rappers say, well, who is he? He ain't putting no work. He's been out for 15 years. Outside of him being a quote-unquote Christian rapper, he's also a school teacher.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So when people talking about is he doing work, he talks about him being a middle school teacher, and he talks about him being a fellow professor at Tufts University and other universities. I think it's important to say that, because when we talk about our hip hop artists being teachers, he's actually a teacher.
Right. Right.
So he got on the Sway interview, and he politely said, you know, hey, Ross, hey, Meek Mills, I respect you guys. I would like you to do better. And he's one of the first ones that didn't send a subliminal message. He named names. So it sent a whole wave of ricochet through hip hop media, and people were 50-50.
Yeah.
Yo, I agree with his message, but why did he have to name names? So for those audience, because there was a lot of people saying that, and I'll get to Jim Jones last, but for those audience who are saying, why is he naming names? You're not familiar with that man's catalog. He released a song 13 years ago called Jay-Z, 50 Cent, and Weezy. That's the name of the album. Jay-Z, 50 Cent, and Weezy by Dee-1. That song came out 13 years ago. It has 2 million views on YouTube. So he didn't just start doing this. He's been doing the work. And that was just his overall message. Hey, you say you're speaking for prison reform, but then in your single that you dropped with Rick Ross, you're talking about, oh, I have my boys do X, Y, and Z. So it's a contradictory message. And we're talking about that in the 50th year of hip hop of our older artists. Now, I expect this from the 20-year-olds. I understand that the 20-year-olds are not as mature as us men. Meek Mill is my age. I'm in my mid-30s. I told my age on here, so I don't care.
Yeah.
Rick Ross is way older than that. He's in his mid-40s.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Jim
in my
Jones
40s too. Yeah. I'm not
Jim Jones is in his late 40s. So we're not talking about young rappers. We're talking about middle-aged men, some of them who are close to being grandfathers. And I don't mean to be funny. I mean, you're literally close to the age.
No, you didn't.
Let's call it what it is.
Yeah,
when you're in
yeah.
your late 40s, you're close to being a grandparent.
Right.
You're now about to usher in the grandfather hip-hop era, and there's nothing wrong with that. So what he's saying is, can we get some age-appropriate music? At what point do we start saying, hey, do I want to hear that from a 45-year-old? No matter how good it sounds. You know, Andre 3000, and we'll get to Andre next, but I'm just going to give it to what he said. He said, you know, I kind of feel like hip hop is for the younger generation. What am I supposed to talk to you guys about? I'm 48. What am I going to rap about? Having a colonoscopy? Now, there's a little more context to that, but I agree with that statement. He's being real. I'm 48. What do you guys want me to give you at this age? But we have these artists over here at 45 and 47 talking about how they still gangsters and I forgot what was the crew that him and Mano called themselves.
The Lobby Boys.
The Lobby Boys. Mano's older than Jim. I don't know if you know, but Mano's 50.
I didn't know that.
He don't look 50, but
no,
you look at his Wikipedia, it says he's 50.
He look like
he looks like
late
he's
20s.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But the point I'm making is 45, 47, and these artists these age is still trying to portray like they 28 years old. So when the hip hop community was saying, well, he didn't have to say their names. Yeah, but the point still stands. Now, I just gave a full context of Dee-1. What did he say at the Sway interview? And we'll save Jim Jones for last, so don't go on a tangent. But just his overall message when we talked about this off air, what were your thoughts on it?
The thing is like, I'm kind of 50-50 on it, and I'm going to tell you why. You can't get mad because sometimes it's without saying names. That's all they know. So what do you want them to rap about? I can't imagine 50 Cent rapping to me about taxes. I just can't. And that's not a shot at 50. He could make some song that's very, very, I want to hear the story about what happened after you made it. I want to hear that story. I know you can make music like that.
That's my pushback in agreement with you.
But because there's been some stuff you've been through, you just ain't opening up about it. But I think the point I'm making is that it is the flip side of it. Is like, well, what do you want them to rap about? If Rick Ross starts rapping about something else, I'm kind of looking at him like, what you doing? What you doing, man? But at the same time, I feel you. I do. It's a without you, because if you stop me if you don't want me to make this point, you can't have your kids in private school.
Go ahead. Be up
here rapping. You can't have your kids in private school rapping about drugs and selling on the block and this, that, and the third. When you know the game. When I was younger, I didn't understand what I understand now. I'm not gonna open up about that. We'll talk about that later on. But to give you a snippet, I just went to a funeral where I had to bury my friend. The conversations we were having when we was in our 20s, we're not having those conversations anymore. So for me, when I'm listening, like, what are you doing? You get what I'm saying?
So that's where I'm in agreement. Not to cut you off. That's where I'm in agreement with you. The same conversations, whether me and you, because me and you are close, or me and my homeboys were having at 21 through 28, are not the same conversations. And I'm only in my mid-30s. I'm not even 39. I'm in my mid-30s. I'm not having those conversations no more. Like, when I'm in the gym, I play everything because I need to get crazy in the gym. But I got an 8-year-old son. When my 8-year-old son's in the car and I hear gotta hit that button. Yeah. Because we know how influential music is.
Yes.
We know how people keep talking about these rappers aren't your parents, but I think that's cliche because music has been raising us since the blues era.
Facts.
My grandmother used to tell me, my grandmother was born in the 40s. She used to tell me how her and her sisters and her siblings used to sneak away and go to the jukebox when Nat King Cole was doing his thing on his guitar. Music has been raising people since the slavery era. So we got to stop this, these rappers aren't your parents or whatever. They're going to influence people because that's what art does. So I think Dr. Umar, somebody said that. He said he was in agreement with the point you said. Okay, yeah, maybe the first 10 years you rapped about just leaving the hood and you was creating those songs like that. But if you've been living in the mansion in 20 years and your kids is living this lifestyle, how are you keep giving me the same album? And guess where I'm going to go with it at? We're in this great moment of hip hop right now where a lot of music dropped. Jeezy dropped a few days ago, and I'm going to talk about Jeezy's album. Perfect example. Andre 3000 dropped. I'm going to talk about that. Drake dropped. Guess who we're talking about on the internet? We're talking about Drake bars. And I'm going to play some Drake bars in a minute, but boy, he went the hell off. I guess he got tired of Joe Buttons dissing him and sending subliminals, and he said, all right, I'm going to come back and rap. You know who they're not talking about?
Who?
That Meek Mill album flopped. That Meek Mill and Rick Ross album. Anybody quoting any bars from it?
Did you hear it?
Anybody quoting any bars from it?
I get that. I'm asking,
I turned it on and turned it off.
Yeah, why?
Rolling on my wrist.
Bad? Why? It sounded that bad?
Rolling on my wrist. I'm going to get you hit. It's the same thing. That's the point I'm making.
But look what Meek Mill's comes from. I'm not defending him, but look what he comes from.
Meek Mill says net worth is over $20 million when somebody asked him in a recent interview. Yes. You do come from it. Me and Meek Mills are the same age. I was born in the crack era. I know where I came from in upstate New York. I'm not a rapper, though, so I understand. So I don't want nobody to say, but D, you're not a rapper. Where I come from doesn't dictate how I act in my mid-30s.
True. You know what? Let me give you a good compare and contrast, right? So we're not going to name the location, right? But you know, I went to a suburban high school, right?
Yeah, we won't say the name.
Predominantly white, right? It's funny, the people around that look like you, that live in other environments that are not suburban, will clown you, try to disrespect you, and you know you have to go through it. And you know, I didn't tolerate it. Sometimes I responded back in a way that was extremely aggressive.
Oh yeah.
So the point I'm making is that at the end of the day, my whole thing is, this is how I feel about it. It's like the drug dealer, the street kid that sees a suburban black kid. It's like, oh, he's a cornball, he's corny, this and the third. But that's where you're trying to go. That's where you want your kids to go, but you're dissing the one that's there. So my point is, it's kind of like it's a comparison. It's a corn. You're contradicting yourself. You lost fool. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Now, I'm not going to harp too much on Meek Mill and Jeezy, but I had to bring that point up because they were up in arms about Dee-1. They threw their little shots. Oh, you know, you corny, blah, blah, blah. They threw their shots. But your album flopped. You're Rick Ross. You're Meek Mill. That album was not supposed to do 30,000. It was supposed to do close to 100. And I'll take away numbers. Let's take away the numbers. People are supposed to be having a conversation about it. That's more important. People are supposed to say, did you hear that single? Homeboy was going crazy. I'm not, you know me, I'm a social media person with our content. Nobody's quoting any bars.
No.
Nobody's talking about nothing.
No.
No subject matter.
To kind of give you an idea, the best question I could ask them, they say that Dee-1's corny. I just wonder would they let their daughter go date a guy that's rapping like them? Wouldn't do that though, would you? But you let him go date a guy like Dee-1 because you feel secure, because he's probably not gonna lead your daughter down the path that a dude like you or somebody in your crew is rapping like. You see where I'm going with that? Yeah. Let me just say this, and you know about a personal issue. I'm gonna kind of speak about it without speaking about it. I'm seeing somebody that's coming out of a situation in their 40s and acting like they in their 20s.
Oh yeah.
And it's a very sad, pathetic look. And I don't think they get it. And I had to remove myself from that situation. So understand what I'm saying to you. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Understand what I'm saying to you. When I hear these guys talking, let me put it this way. I don't have a problem with Maine on them doing the Lobby Boys, right? Because that was part of an era that you can't deny, and that's where they come from. And it kind of reminds you that it's good. It's all good music. Also make the music too that about reality, man. Start talking about when you was hurting in your pockets and you was broke. Stop talking about when there's jealousy and hate. Start talking about when these labels was trying to play you and pit you against one another. Start talking about your young black males like, this is what y'all gotta look out for. We not hearing that. You know, it was never a problem. I don't want to sound like the old head. It was never a problem. You know, that's why I always had a problem with Pac sometimes when you win his rants. We need De La Soul, Common, Dead Prez. We need those guys because we can't keep listening to this story. We cannot.
Say it again. That's a bar.
We need people like De La Soul, Dead Prez, Black Sheep. We needed those guys. Poor Righteous Teachers. We need those guys because we can't keep listening to that other stuff. It's but so long you keep listening to that. And it's you know what the sad part about it is? Like even now, that's a problem with the women. You remember, because you've always emphasized this. It's like, Cardi B and them, I don't have a problem with them doing it. I like their music. I listen to it. I have a problem because Jean Grey's not getting put on the radio. I heard Queen Latifah, Moni Love, Yo-Yo, Roxanne Shante, Salt and Pepper. And even though when Foxy and Kim came out, there was still other artists. There was Muhammadiyah, there was Rod Digger, there was Lauryn Hill. There was a balance. Now, Ice Spice and them, they ain't no difference.
Nominated for a Grammy. Shout out to Ice Spice.
Salute, but there ain't no difference. It's the same thing. And what and kind of what Dee-1 is making a point of, you're spewing out this destruction, right? To give a short version, these black women keep talking about, we need to respect us and protect us. Listen to what you singing in them songs. An N-word ain't this. I get an N-word for his money. N-word ain't this. You better have six figures, this, that, and the third. But you ain't talking about the other side of the story where you stripping, playing yourself, selling your soul, degrading yourself. And on top of that, you would never let your kids do that. But you out here telling other young black girls to do that. And you want me to protect that? You must be out your rabbit ass mind. But nobody talks about that part of the story. There's not a female MC that comes out. No disrespect to Jean Grey. I guarantee if Rod Digger came out with an album, she'd light their ass up and let them all have it. What you gonna do about it? Because one, I'll mop the floor with you physically. Two, another thing, on the mic, you'll never get me. I'll light you up. We need that. So I think to make it all come back around, that's Dee-1's point. Like, if you want to make that, he's saying, you sell death and destruction because at the end of the day, y'all kids ain't nowhere near that. Your kids is nowhere near that.
That was the overall point of why I wanted to bring that up. I hear people in the comments even replying to my comment on a post. It's art. You can't criticize art. I said, art is also an imitation of life.
Yeah.
Meek Mill is my age. We're both in our mid-30s. I know outside of this podcast and media, because we do a lot of media, I know what I'm doing in my real life.
Right.
I got 3 kids. I got a dog. I got a wife. I know what my body feels like. I know about me working out. I know about taxes. I know what the lifestyle's about for a middle-aged black man.
Facts.
I'm not hearing that in the music. I hang around also older men since I was young. You, family members, friends who are older than me, and I peep what they're going through as middle-aged black men.
Yes.
I don't hear that in Rick Ross's raps. I don't hear that in 47-year-old who has a fully gray beard, Jim Jones. We're both half Puerto Rican, so like, trust me, I don't hear that stuff in his raps.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm gonna talk about him last, but yeah, I think that was the overall message. Now that was just half of it. The problem that those two didn't go too far with Dee-1 with their response back. The problem was when Jim Jones got on Sway in the Morning, and everybody saw that because that clip went viral.
Oh my God, we all saw it.
I ain't trying to hear that. I don't care what he's saying. Yeah, he could have reached out to me if he wanted to. And once again, he was trying to play him. Who is this kid? He's selling out shows. Nobody's booking you right now, Jim. I don't see you getting booked for shows. I see Dee-1 getting booked for shows because he's showing the video footage. He's showing himself selling out shows in Atlanta. Do you have any music where people are booking you for shows right now? So you can miss us with the he's clout chasing your name for fame. That's part one. Part two is where me and you talked about this off air. The whole, when he sees me, he better put his head down.
Just ignorance, man. He
better not hope that one of my cousins or nephews see him and want to smack a dread out of his head. This is what Jim Jones is saying. I'm sorry. I'm not a gangster. I'm not a tough guy. I'm a civilian. But we got to call out the hypocrisy in that. I got some words and I know you got some words. We'll spend 5 minutes on this. The reason why that is problematic is, for number one, we got to protect our lights in our community. Let's take this out of hip hop. He will be the kid at the school that he needs to be protected because he's about to make it out the hood.
Yeah.
Outside of hip hop, this man is a school teacher and is verifiable. You can go look it up.
Yeah.
He's teaching kids. He's teaching kids. Why would you want to smack a teacher? Just outside of hip hop alone.
Something you didn't like.
What does that sound like? That sounds like the kid at the school with the IEP that just bugging the hell out for no reason, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
That's one. Number two, if you are our age or older, and we already told you our ages 100 times on this podcast, we've been following hip hop for so long, we know all the stories. And we're not going to say all of them because we'll be here for too long. But if you are our age or older, then you remember a few situations that this individual has gotten himself in. We don't have to name names. I think you guys know where we're going with this. But when the Puerto Rican Suge Knight was chasing you around town, see, I didn't say his name. So I just referred to him about the Puerto Rican Suge Knight.
Hey.
When the Puerto Rican Suge Knight was chasing you and your affiliates around town for stuff that you got, because see, I'm gonna say this without saying it. A lot of your affiliates got in stuff because of you.
Facts.
A lot of them got their chain snatched because of you.
Yep.
Your cousins and nephews was nowhere to be found.
Nope.
Your man, the head honcho of the company of Dipset, got punched in the eye because of you.
Yep.
And he spoke about that. So I can say that because he called it out. Yeah, I got in an altercation with him.
Yep.
See, your man got punched in the eye because of you. Where was your cousin at then?
Yeah.
The leader of Dipset, Cameron, got punched in the eye because of you, Jim Jones. Was your cousin anywhere to be found? And that's just one incident. There's like 5 other incidents that us as middle-aged black men remember you being in, and you weren't talking tough to them people.
Jojo Capone.
See, I wasn't saying names.
You made it clear. I saw you. You ain't want none of that.
But you remember who was also rolling with them.
Yeah.
You know, his best friend, Saigon.
Yep. Saigon.
See, they was all around.
It was around.
I don't remember you talking tough to any one of them 3, and I'm just going to leave that as one situation. See, there's there's Gangsta Lou.
Yes.
There's Mano, now that y'all best friends.
Yeah.
There's about 4 or 5 other situations. But I didn't appreciate how you had all the smoke for a Christian rapper who's a teacher, talking about he's clout chasing when he's actually doing shows and you're not. But you want to smack him in the head. but in 20 years, you didn't have to smoke for these people who are in the street like you. What are your thoughts on this, man?
I think that he needs I don't see, that's where the immaturity comes in. If Dee-1 had said something super crazy, he would have been 1,000% right in saying what he said. The thing is when I'm looking at it is like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be a leader. So anybody knows this. Even when you watch a lot of these gangster movies or gangster series, what's the first thing they say? War is bad for business.
Messes up the money.
So my whole thing is with this whole situation is it's bad for business, right? So you and D1, you got to say to the young dudes that didn't like what he said, so just say this under Jim, say, no, we not doing that. We gonna have a talk with him like, yo, you're gonna have to talk to us because we not doing this. You can't be on the radio. D1 might have been wrong in that perspective, but at the same time, where you're going with it, you're wrong too. You going with it with something that you shouldn't be going with it where. Because maybe D1 might have somebody that you don't know that you ain't even gonna see coming. And last time I checked, just from a distance, I ain't seen too many cats like go missing or get hurt or do anything. I mean, other than what is it 6'9"? Yeah. 6'9". I mean, he probably scared of him.
But that's a whole different situation.
I don't really. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say to you is that when he's over there saying like, yo, they might not like that and they might smack him and do all this and knock a dread out his head. And then what, Jim? Where does it go from there? Where does it go? There might be people around.
Because you don't think New Orleans got steppers?
He said, somebody from New Orleans already called me.
Come on, Jim.
So what are you doing in the community in New Orleans for the people that call you? Like, are you fixing the community or something? Eric Thomas said the illest thing. And I'll never forget what he said. He says, yo, I came here today through the school, right? He was at a school. I forgot where community. It was like a bad area. He said, a rapper came through here last night in this city. He said, I don't see him here. He got all the money from the show, yeah. Did everything. Is he here this morning? And left. Didn't
Took the resources out the community and bounced.
Don't know where he's at. So since you're like a hood legend and you have all this talent and the hood follows you and they're ready to ride for you, I just want to know what you're doing. And he says, and he made a good point. He said, you don't know who I do and what I help for and people I help. I understand that. I'm just looking around and you don't look right saying that. You don't look like a tough guy. I'm pretty sure there's people around in circles like, yo, you gotta stop talking, man.
No, because they want to be put on.
You gotta stop talking.
But yeah, that's that whole situation.
Well, let me say this. Can I say this much? I will say this. Hold on a second. What I will say is this. A lot of these rappers, a lot of them, they say and do things, and we've been in certain circles, and I'll never name no names unless you irritate me to a point. You're not really who you say you are, and you ain't got what you got. It meaning like when you clowning cats that's trying to, you're painting this picture like you got to go out and hustle, which is the correct message. But you're kind of telling them like, go out and hustle drugs. You ain't doing that, man. You ain't doing that.
Ain't been doing that for
You ain't been doing
years.
it. So you out here telling people, yo, hustle and do this and do this and do that. You're not doing that. You're not. So I don't paint this picture. One time, we ain't gonna say no names, somebody that's out in DVDs acting like they got it in the Benz and everything, I saw him riding a bike. How you riding a bike? Because you ain't got no money. Because you out here portraying an image and a lifestyle for 30 seconds instead of buying a building and getting residual income. You ain't rapping about that, though. And those label heads that's lying to you, gassing you up, telling we gonna give you money to act like this, and then when that buzz run out, they leave you hanging, you riding a bike.
Yeah.
You don't tell that part of the story in the song, do you?
For a few times for some undisclosed artists we will not name.
So I just want to say, man, like I kind of get where Jim. I'm not saying I don't understand where he's coming from, but he's wrong. He's wrong. Whether or not you would like, it's like we're gonna talk about my man G, right? It's like with that, why that crew, I had two crews. I had a crew up in Albany and a crew downstate, right? So they the crew up here, they knew what we was good at doing. We ain't gonna speak about what we were doing. And I'm not gonna name them names, but they had my back too. They loved me too. But my crew down here was riled too. But also there was people in my camp that told me when I was wrong, when I didn't want to hear it. Like, yo, you wrong. You not, yo, hey, we not gonna roll with you on this. Like, they would have had my back had I really went and jumped in and did something stupid. But their point of making is, if you do this, this brings us all down. You're going to hurt us in the process. A person that cares about you, they'll make you look at the whole chessboard. So back then I didn't get it. I just cared about them enough to say I ain't going to do it because it's going to pull you down. But looking back at it now, they were making me look at the whole chessboard. If you do this, this gets us in this situation. Then we got to do this situation. And I don't want to, which I'm fine with doing it, because with me, when I swing, I'm ready to deal with whatever comes with it. But I love my brothers enough to never pull them in that situation. So if it's gonna better them, I'll do it because I love them. That's who they are. So my whole thing is to these rappers: if you love the community, or even if you love the people in your camp, you're making them move in a certain way. And even if you can't make the move, make them see the chessboard. I think that's the point that Dee-1's making, that everybody is missing. You need to see the whole chessboard.
Perfect point.
That's what you need to see. And you're not seeing it, and you're being cocky because, to be honest with you, whatever money you think you're making peanuts compared to the person who's really cutting the check. That's all I'm going to say about that.
You dropping bars this episode, man.
So, yeah, that's my man G inside. He's kind of smacking me upside my head right now.